The example is based, again, on an excellent law review paper, this time by Joseph Bankman and Thomas Griffith. Imagine a society of 3 individuals named Alice, Betty, and Cindy. Assume each individual has an identical utility function in which her utility is determined solely by the level of consumption and leisure she enjoys. Further assume that marginal utility of an additional unit of either income or leisure is inversely proportional to the amount already owned. This will be mathematically represented by the logarithm ln. Under such a utility function, the utility gained from an additional dollar of income is 10 times as great to a person who has $10,000 than to a person who has $100,000. Similarly, additional leisure to a person who currently enjoys 10 hours of leisure is worth twice as much as additional leisure to a person who already enjoys 20 hours of leisure. This can be mathematically represented by letting the utility, happiness, that an individual enjoys from an amount of consumption or leisure be equal to a certain log of that amount. Merely assume that consumption and leisure have equal weight in determining happiness, meaning that an individual's level of welfare, of happiness, is the same sum of the logarithms of the amounts of consumption and leisure she enjoys. This relationship can be expressed as U equals ln C plus ln L, where U is utility, C is consumption, and L represents leisure. And as I said before, ln represents the decreasing marginal utility. The assumption that consumption and leisure have equal weight in determining happiness is unrealistic. However, most optimal tax models adopt it, due to the computational advantages of such a function, rather than any evidence that it accurately reflects the way in which consumption and leisure shape individual happiness. We will do the same, as we merely wish to gain an understanding of what the policymaker should do when maximizing society's happiness, and not to find the exact optimal tax rates. In reality, the policymaker should set the tax according to the assumptions tested in research made about the determinants of individual happiness, the distribution of abilities in society, and the structure of the economic system. It must be done on a country-by-country basis, as there are significant systematic differences between the countries in these respects. Moving forward with our analysis, we see that each individual's pre-tax income is equal to her working hours multiplied by her hourly wage. Each individual's leisure is equal to the total number of hours available to her, that is 24 hours, less the number of hours she works. These two relationships can be expressed as I equals WH, where I is the pre-tax income, W the pre-tax hourly wages, and H hours worked. And L equals 24 minus H, where L is leisure, a day has 24 hours, and leisure is the time you do not work. Suppose that Alice, Betty, and Cindy have pre-tax hourly wages of $10, $20, and $40 respectively. Each will choose to work the number of hours that maximizes the sum of the value of her consumption plus the value of her leisure. More formally, each individual will choose to work a number of hours H to maximize the function U equals ln C plus ln L, stated as U equals ln W times H plus ln 24 minus H. Because W, which is the hourly wage rate, times H, the hours the individual works, provides her with income that can be used for consumption. And 24 hours of the day, minus the hours spent on work, leaves the individuals with hours of leisure. It turns out that for Alice, Betty, and Cindy, the happiness maximizing choice is to work 12 hours. This is the result when we solve the individual utility equation regarding each one of them. Indeed, for any wage level greater than 0, the utility maximizing choice is to work this amount. An individual's choice to work 1/2 of all available hours in a no-tax world results from the equal weight given to consumption and leisure in the individual utility function. Imagine working 11 hours and having 13 hours of leisure. Due to the diminishing marginal happiness, the happiness derived from the additional hour of leisure is lower than the loss of happiness caused by the decrease in consumption, which results from working 1 hour less. As I mentioned before, the assumption that consumption and leisure have equal weight in determining happiness is arbitrary. The relative weight an individual gives to consumption and leisure can be varied. If, for example, one believes that individuals would work 8 hours per day in a no-tax world, the log of utility from consumption would have a value of 1/2. Because 8 hours spent on work are exactly half of 16 hours spent on leisure. The decision to use a value of 1 was made for explanatory simplicity. Table 1 illustrates the situation that would exist in a no-tax world. As we can see, Alice, whose productivity, that is, earning ability, is the lowest, only $10 an hour, works 12 hours and enjoys 12 hours of leisure, has an income of $120, which is also her disposable income, namely the money available for consumption, because there is no tax. The utility she derives from her leisure and consumption is 7.272. Betty, whose productivity, that is, earning ability, is $20 an hour, also works 12 hours and enjoys 12 hours of leisure, has an income of $240, which is also her disposable income, namely the money available for consumption, because there is no tax. The utility Betty derives from her leisure and consumption is 7.966. It is higher than that of Alice because she has higher ability. Hence, during the same 12 hours of work, she earns more and can therefore consume more. Cindy, whose productivity, that is, the earning ability, is $40 an hour, also works 12 hours and enjoys 12 hours of leisure, has an income of $480, which is also her disposable income, namely the money available for consumption because there is no tax. The utility she derives from her leisure and consumption is 8.659. It is higher than that of Betty, and of course of that of Alice, because she has higher ability. Hence, during the same 12 hours of work, she earns more and can therefore consume more. In total, the three women work 36 hours, enjoy 36 hours of leisure, generate $840 of income, consume it, and the total happiness of this society is 23.897. In the next unit, we'll see what happens when the government intervenes in this market in an effort to increase the well-being, namely happiness, of the three women, which is our society.